Today, she is 45 years old, a woman of graceful maturity, tall and slender, her smile still carrying traces of the youthful joy she once had at 20. Few would know that for nearly half her life she has quietly carried wounds. Wounds from loving sincerely, only to be repeatedly betrayed. She shared that she once loved with pure innocence, seriousness, and meticulous care, tending to her relationships as tenderly as one would a delicate garden. But no matter how cautious she was, those she trusted eventually left, sometimes with betrayals so bitter she never saw them coming. At first she thought it was simply fate. Later she blamed herself for loving too much, for trusting too deeply. And even now, when she dares to love more cautiously than ever, she still finds herself trapped in the same cycle. Open her heart and be hurt. Sitting in the flickering twilight of a late afternoon cafe, she smiled faintly and whispered, "Maybe it's me. Maybe it's something inside me I haven't yet understood." She is a quintessential Virgo, a heart born of perfectionism, caution, and deep sincerity, yet so easily wounded. And that is why today we must look deeply into the 9 silent fractures that make Virgo, despite loving so profoundly, the one who always ends up hurting the most. Virgo loves wholeheartedly and turns love into a burden they barely recognize. When a Virgo loves, they don't know how to hold anything back for themselves. They love the way they live, meticulously, wholeheartedly, tending to every tiny detail that sometimes even their partner fails to notice. They don't make loud demands. They simply hope that their quiet care will be answered with a warm hug, a gentle look, some sign that they are on the right path in love. From an astrological perspective, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the planet of intellect, analysis, and organization. In Virgo, Mercury doesn't merely operate through words, but infiltrates every hidden thought. I must do better. I must fix everything that's imperfect. I must become the best version of myself, so they won't leave. And because Virgo belongs to the earth element, their longing for stability and security pushes them even further into the mindset of, I have to shoulder everything. I must do everything perfectly, even when it quietly exhausts them. In real life, you might see a Virgo woman memorizing every favorite dish of her lover, painstakingly learning how to cook them just right, only to receive a casual, indifferent comment, "Yeah, it's fine." Or a Virgo man meticulously planning the perfect trip, only to hear his partner complain about being tired and uninterested. They don't complain, they don't blame. But inside, those unreciprocated efforts quietly turn into tiny scratches they themselves don't know how to heal. And when the other person leaves or when love fades, Virgo doesn't lash out. They only ask themselves, where did I fall short? Yet the truth is, love cannot always be measured by meticulous effort. And sometimes, trying too hard can strip love of the very spontaneity and natural magic it needs to survive. 2. Virgo analyzes every detail and unknowingly traps themselves in a maze of unspoken worries. When Virgo loves, they don't just love with their heart. They love with eyes that notice every subtle change, and a mind that refuses to stay silent, a glance that seems to look away, a hug that no longer feels as tight, a good morning text that lacks warmth. All of it prompts Virgo to start piecing things together, connecting dots, weaving heartbreaking scenarios inside their mind. They don't need anyone to hurt them first. Just a single fragile sign is enough for them to hurt themselves all night long. Virgo is profoundly influenced by Mercury, the planet of analytical intellect. But unlike Gemini, Virgo uses that intellect to search for hidden flaws, always fearing that instability will creep in if they don't catch it in time. Carrying mutable earth energy, Virgo simultaneously craves security and incessantly scans for change. As if their intuition constantly whispers, don't be complacent. The cracks always start with the smallest things. In real life, you might see a Virgo woman lying awake all night because of a cold, delayed text reply, wondering, is he getting tired of me? Or a Virgo man sitting quietly staring at his phone, rereading a curt message, constructing hundreds of theories about what he might have done wrong, when in reality the other person may have simply been busy or not thought much of it at all. But for Virgo, nothing is ever just something. Every minor shift feels like an urgent signal demanding attention, because they've lived too long with the fear that if they don't stay alert, they will lose something precious without even realizing it. And so love, which should have been their safest place, becomes a maze of doubt, worry, and self-inflicted wounds, a place where Virgo eventually loses themselves in the endless scenarios they have built. 3. Virgo believes in actions and gets heartbroken when love is offered only through empty words. For Virgo, love is not about grand promises or flowery words. Love is shown each day through the smallest acts. A reminder to eat lunch on time, a hand reaching out when they are silently exhausted, a quiet patience on days when they're worn out but refuse to complain. They don't need loud declarations of affection. They only need to see love in the simplest, most silent gestures. The essence of Mercury in Virgo isn't just about communication through words. It's about communication through tangible actions, being part of the earth element, solid, concrete, love. For Virgo isn't about whimsical dreams, but about things that can be touched, felt, and proven through everyday deeds. That's also why Virgo is so easily and deeply disappointed. They give wholeheartedly through practical acts, only to receive promises that drift away with the wind. You might see a Virgo woman preparing every favorite dish for the one she loves, only to hear, "I'm busy, I'll eat later." Or a Virgo man racing through crowded streets just to make it to a date on time, while his partner casually cancels with a short, indifferent text. No matter how beautiful words may sound, they can never mask the feeling of being left behind in those moments. For Virgo, actions have always spoken louder than words. Yet sadly, in this world, not everyone loves through action. Many only love through what they say. And each time it happens, Virgo withdraws a little more, silently telling themselves, maybe I loved the wrong way. Maybe I expected too much. 4. Virgo opens their heart slowly, and sometimes they unknowingly lose their chance to be loved. Virgo doesn't easily open the doors to their heart. They love with all the carefulness and hesitation of those who have lived in a world where even the smallest mistake can lead to abandonment. When someone steps into their life, Virgo doesn't immediately welcome them, doesn't rush to trust. They observe, they test, with silence, with just enough distance to see who is patient enough to stay. From an astrological perspective, Virgo's archetype is ruled by Mercury, a Mercury grounded in earth energy, not just sharp but cautious. They see life through the lens of analysis: who is genuine, who is fleeting, who truly needs them, and who is merely passing by. The mutable earth element makes trusting even harder for Virgo because earth craves certainty, while mutability constantly reminds them that everything can change with just the slightest breeze. In everyday life, you might see a Virgo woman smiling politely at a confession of love, while inside she's still wary, silently wondering, will he stay once he sees the imperfect parts of me? Or a Virgo man staying silent when someone shows him affection, not because he doesn't feel anything, but because deep down he's still weighing it. Can I really trust this feeling? And the irony is, sometimes those who genuinely love them end up walking away, not because they stopped loving, but because they grew tired of the invisible walls Virgo builds to protect themselves. And every time that happens, Virgo silently tells themselves, see, I was right not to trust from the start. Yet deep within, they know they have also lost something precious, a chance to be loved the way their heart has longed for all along. 5. When feeling insecure, Virgo chooses silence, and that silence gradually cracks the most beautiful things. Virgo isn't the type to be loud when they're hurt. They don't lash out, nor do they demand love through complaints. When they feel insecure, when they sense the quiet distance growing, Virgo chooses silence. A heavy silence. Not meant to punish anyone, but a way to withdraw, to patch up the small cracks within themselves before they spread too far. Astrology explains this clearly. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the symbol of thought and communication, but Mercury in Virgo operates inwardly. Instead of speaking, they think, analyze, and self-reflect. Instead of asking for comfort, they walk themselves through a silent logic. I shouldn't bother anyone. I should fix this on my own. If I'm truly worthy, they will notice on their own. And being an earth sign, Virgo absorbs deeply the quiet belief that endurance itself is a form of strength. In real life, you'll see a Virgo woman upset but forcing a polite smile. It's nothing, really. You'll see a Virgo man feeling disappointed but still texting back, I'm fine. No accusations, no tearful demands, just a growing distance, day by day, like a hairline crack in a wall. barely noticeable at first, until one day, everything collapses all at once. And often, when Virgo falls most deeply into silence, that's when they need to be held the most. But not everyone is sensitive enough to hear a heart speaking through silence. And so, that love quietly dies. Not with loud arguments or broken promises, but in the lingering silences that no one ever bothered to fill. 6. Virgo blames themselves even when the fault isn't theirs. When a relationship falls apart, Virgo doesn't rush to cast blame. They don't accuse the one who left, nor do they curse fate. Instead, they quietly turn inward, dissecting every memory, every word, every small moment that passed, searching desperately for an answer. Where did I go wrong? The nature of Mercury in Virgo doesn't just represent analytical thinking. It also fuels an endless cycle of self-questioning. On top of that, their earth element makes them believe that everything in life must have a clear cause and effect. Therefore, if love fails, they cannot simply accept it as something that just happened. They need to find a reason. And sadly, they often end up placing the blame on themselves. In real life, you might see a Virgo woman sitting before a silent phone all night, rereading hundreds of old messages, wondering, if only I had sent one more comforting text that day, would things have been different? You might see a Virgo man, after a quiet breakup, painstakingly writing pages about all the ways he might have fallen short, even though sometimes the other person's departure had nothing to do with any of those things. And with every act of self-blame, Virgo's heart gains another scar, not because they loved poorly, but because they loved too sincerely, too seriously. They believe that if they just tried hard enough, did everything right, loved well enough, then maybe all the bad things could have been avoided. But love, like life, never follows a perfect formula. And the most painful lesson for Virgo is learning that some losses are no one's fault at all. Period. They are simply part of being human. 7. Virgo loves with both mind and heart, so betrayal shatters both parts of them. Virgo doesn't love on impulsive instinct. They love through conscious choice, with a heart longing for deep connection and a cautious mind constantly asking, is this relationship safe enough? When they open up, it's never just a fleeting feeling. It's the result of thousands of deliberations, tests, and hard-earned trust. Virgo is a delicate blend of Mercury's analytical intellect and mutable Earth's deep need to root into something stable and certain. When they love, Virgo doesn't just offer their emotions. They offer their entire value system, their loyalty, their trust, and their hope for a future built together. That's why, when betrayed, Virgo doesn't merely lose someone they love. They lose their faith in their own ability to choose wisely. And that is a pain even deeper than heartbreak itself. You'll see a Virgo woman not just mourning the departure of someone she loved, she grieves even more over the realization, I truly believed he was the one who would walk this road with me. You'll see a Virgo man not just breaking down over a goodbye, he collapses under the weight of knowing that all his careful decisions, all his sincere trust have been rendered meaningless. For Virgo, love has never been a game. Love is about building, nurturing, placing both heart and mind into the hands of one chosen person. And when that person betrays them, Virgo doesn't just lose a part of their love, they lose a part of themselves. The part that once believed effort, loyalty, and sincerity would be enough to make someone stay. 8. Virgo selects love carefully, but finds it painfully hard to let go of what they once trusted. Virgo does not fall in love easily. They spend a great deal of time observing, considering, silently examining every small detail in a person's character and actions before daring to place their trust. A careless touch, a distracted gaze, a delayed promise. Virgo notices it all, not to judge, but to ask themselves, is this person strong enough to hold my heart? Virgo's mutable earth nature leaves them longing for absolute stability, while simultaneously fearing the uncontrollable changes life inevitably brings. Mercury, operating within Virgo, turns them into masterful craftsmen of love. They want to build a relationship on a solid foundation, brick by careful brick, with tiny pieces of trust meticulously laid. And so, when Virgo chooses, they love with unwavering loyalty, patience, and hope, right to the very end. You might see a Virgo woman forgiving small mistakes over and over, telling herself, everyone messes up sometimes, I should be patient. You might see a Virgo man spending hours trying to understand why the woman he loves has grown cold, while his heart stubbornly refuses to believe it's time to let go. They hold on, not out of blindness, but because it took them so long to trust in the first place. And letting go, for Virgo, isn't just losing a person. It's losing a belief they painstakingly built, piece by piece. And because they love so patiently, Virgo sometimes stays far too long in relationships that no longer deserve them. Not because they are unaware of their own hurt, but because they keep believing if I just try a little harder, maybe things will get better. Yet love cannot always overcome indifference, and the most heartbreaking realization is when Virgo finally sees the other person had given up long ago while they were still fighting alone. 9. Virgo dreams of a perfect love, and their heart breaks when reality falls short of their hopes. Because in every Virgo there exists a clear, vivid image of love, a relationship built on sincerity, quiet efforts, and patient days of holding hands through every challenge. They dream of someone who won't just stay for the bright days, but will also be willing to mend even the smallest cracks when life begins to wear them down. Virgo is shaped by Mercury, the planet of endless analysis and refinement, and by the earth element, which craves stability, security, and longevity. For Virgo, love isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a lifelong project, a home they are willing to build brick by brick, checking every connection, adjusting every imperfect detail. Yet because they idealize love as a perfect construction requiring tireless devotion, Virgo is easily heartbroken when reality fails to match the dream they so carefully built. Well, at the end of real life, you might see a Virgo woman quietly imagining warm family dinners, hands that never let go, whispered conversations between two people at the end of long days, only to realize that her partner barely notices or values such things. You might see a Virgo man meticulously saving money, making plans for a future home, only to hear the one he loves say, "Let's just live for today, why worry about tomorrow?" And so, their dream of a strong, beautiful love, one built by two hands gripping each other tightly through life's storms, gradually crumbles, not because Virgo loved the wrong way, but because in this world, not everyone loves with the same quiet, enduring heart that they do. The deepest heartbreak for Virgo isn't being blatantly betrayed. It's realizing that the simplest dreams, the ones they tended to so tenderly, were beautiful only within their own heart. You might have thought that Virgo is too sensitive, that they overcomplicate things that are inherently simple, that they demand too much from a love that is already fragile. But if one day you have enough patience to sit down and truly listen to a Virgo's heart, you'll understand they never needed anything grand. They only needed someone who could see the quiet efforts hidden in their smallest gestures. They only needed someone who could understand that every time they analyze, every time they fall silent, every time they retreat, it's a silent attempt to protect the love they hold in the most innocent way they know. Virgo doesn't crave praise. They only need to be loved in a simple, kind way, the same way they have always loved others, with all their soul. And if this world has already grown too full of people who love carelessly, then the existence of Virgo, with their sincere love, their tireless efforts, and their quiet wounds, is truly one of the most beautiful blessings this world has ever been given. If you are a Virgo reading these words, please remember, you don't need to become more perfect to deserve love. You don't need to keep fighting against the imperfections of life. You have been enough all along. Somewhere out there are people quietly searching for a heart like yours, a heart that knows how to love with pure sincerity, that dares to trust again even after being shattered many times, yet still chooses to love once more, gently and bravely. You are not alone. You are simply waiting to meet the right person, the one who will understand that the cracks within you are exactly where the light is meant to shine through.